Do you love cookbooks? Listen to a lot of food podcasts like this one? Love to eat? The first ever Cookbook Fest is making its way to Napa Valley, California this June. Part book festival, part food festival, part cooking adventure, Cookbook Fest is all about bringing your favorite cookbooks to life. Join some of your favorite cookbook authors like Jesse Sheehan, Tyler Florence, Bryant Terry, and Josh Shearer. Plus, my Korea World co-author Dookie Hong will be there all weekend, firing up the grills at the festival's Global Fire opening party and joining a live main stage recording of the great food podcast Copper and Heat. Don't miss these 3 days of live podcast recordings, hands-on culinary interviews, book signings, delicious food and drink, live music, and so much more. Go to cookbookfest.com to purchase a ticket. That's cookbookfest.com.
And then I remember that Jadakiss once wanted charred blackened salmon, and it arrived and it wasn't charred enough. The char was not hard enough, and we had to get another blackened salmon extra blackened.
This is Taste. I'm your host, Matt Rodbard. Today in the show, we welcome back into the studio James Harris, one half of Throwing Fits, a very funny podcast, Instagram account, and online community dedicated to all things menswear. Throwing Fits is not just one of my favorite pods around, it's a sneaky, great look at the New York City food and drink scene, with James bringing big opinions about New York City restaurants and nightlife culture. I hope you enjoy this very entertaining episode with one of my favorite guests around. James Harris, welcome back to This Is Taste. What's up, buddy?
Thank you, and I'm on time this time.
So a little bit of a rewind. We did this probably a year and a half ago, and you had some train issue, which happens in New York. I had a session after, so we condensed it.
I know. I felt really bad.
Well, you know what? We've got all the way until 2 weeks from now. We could do a long 2-week interview.
My afternoon's open. We can go for hours.
We can go for hours, but honestly, I would have had you back regardless, because I feel like even though that was a short conversation, it was great. And James, you're part of co-founder of Throwing Fits, and I didn't ask you this last time, which is crazy because I think it needs some explanation. So what is Throwing Fits?
Oh my God. I mean, I'm glad you didn't ask because I don't really know. Throwing Fits, okay. At its core, it's a podcast. It's me and my buddy, work husband, co-worker, partner, Lauren Schlossman. We've been friends for many, many, many years. It used to be another podcast called Failing Upwards. We accidentally fucked up and burned a bridge with our former network, and they kept all the IP. So we relaunched as Throwing Fits in January 2020. So it's a podcast, but we also make clothes. We do brand partnerships and stuff. We do IRL events. So it's really at this interesting crossroads where the pod is the core, but as you know, it's a slog. And as we kind of build out other arms or components of the business, that will always be number one. But I think we're at a moment now where we're doing some interesting things beyond just talking to guests and talking to each other about the going ons of the world and the zeitgeist.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fashion minutia, which is fun.
Yeah,
even if you're into menswear, I think anyone can appreciate. If you're not into Hollywood, you listen to Matt Bellany because it's cool minutia. You guys are so into it and plugged in that it's fun to hear about these brands.
I forgot to mention that it's ostensibly about fashion, but the people we talk to range from people in food, musicians, people definitely embedded in the fashion world, specifically menswear. But the joke is that fashion is a visual art form and podcasting is a sonic medium, so it doesn't really translate. That being said, everyone's into clothes now, and kind of the through line of whether it's clothing, food, music, film, sports, whatever, I think we just try to be as curious as possible and speak with people that we're interested in speaking with.
Agree, and I wanted to have you back because, James, you're so down with food. It comes up a lot in conversation, if it's meals out with your crew or if it's just you cooking at home, your trips to Japan. We'll cover all this, but I think it's always good to talk to you and just talk to you off mic too about what's happening in New York food and LA food where you travel a lot. But I mean, you just moved offices. You're in the LES. Tell me a little bit about the new office situation. Food-wise, when you move offices, it just opens up a brand new gateway to like great food.
So we operated out of my apartment for 5 years.
Yeah, man.
That sucked.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it was fine. And the worst part wasn't, cleaning up after a guest that comes through with an entourage of 5 different people and they all use the bathroom and da-da-da. And rearranging my living room twice a week. That wasn't the worst part. The worst part was I wasn't really able to break out of like a 4-block radius, unless I made a really conscious effort when I wasn't working. So having the office, like you said, is great because it brings me, I get to go to the Lower East Side like 2 or 3 times a week now. I grew up in the East Village, so it's like nice to kind of be back, spending time in the city. It's funny because like going out, when I used to go out in the Lower East Side in my 20s, many, many, many years ago, it's crazy that some of those places are now like, one, they were cool when I was trying to go there, or I thought they were cool. Then they became whack, and now they're cool again.
It's crazy.
So it's I don't know, the virtuous cycle of swag. I don't know.
So I mean, it's like, for example, like I think this path has been ridden by The Magician.
Yeah,
I feel The Magician when I lived down there in 2002 was cool.
Yeah,
but then it was like. Not.
We were literally around the corner for The Magician, and shout out The Magician because my office commercial landlord is a owner. So
cool.
Shout out The Magician.
Do you get like a happy hour all day?
Not yet, but I literally was like, yo, can I get a break on rent for the office? Because I've put so much money in your pocket throughout my 20s.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great example of just like a no-nonsense bar that is, there's a reason why it survived, right? It's not trying to be a trend or ride whatever is hot at the moment. It just is a good, dank bar.
Yeah, and like definitely best jukebox downtown. They used to be cash only until like recently, which they just started doing cards. I mean, nice. I love that bar. Actually, I feel like I may have like, it's always been cool. So what's lunch like in the first few weeks you've been in this new office?
It's we're pretty far east, so I haven't really found that many spots. I feel like there isn't like a nice like bowl or salads place. Yeah. Everything's like birria, like as seen on TikTok, birria tacos and fucking, fried cheese hot dogs and shit like that. But I found one spot that was like, I think it's called Lava Shawarma, and they had a phenomenal eggplant salad with some shawarma chicken on top. And I've just been going there. It's like, oh, this place is great. I was able to order and eat in 30 minutes. Let me just go there anytime.
Yeah.
So far.
Lava shawarma, is that like when the red sauce busts out of like the pita? I mean, I'm thinking.
No, I don't. It looks like the branding and storefront looks like a weed dispensary, like very Zocor.
Yeah.
Like very intense, like graphics. But I don't know. I gotta branch out, and like we are pretty east, so I'm not trying to like walk to like any lunch destinations.
Yeah.
I'm also getting used to being in a position where it's like, oh, time to get lunch. Let me take an hour.
You can't just open your fridge anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, you could pack a lunch, I guess. That's a whole vibe.
I could. I haven't gotten any delivery yet because I feel weird getting delivery to an office.
Yeah, it's always a weird thing because it costs like a lot. It's like one of those things that doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
What's the fridge like in the Throwing Fits office right now?
It's full of Topo Chico.
Yeah.
It is full of dirty water, which I don't know if you had this. It's like an unflavored hard seltzer that kind of drinks like a beer.
Yeah.
So have you seen it or heard it?
I've seen it, but I haven't had it.
Weirdly really good and really drinkable, and like doesn't have that like metallic fruit flavor of any or most hard seltzers. Some bottles of champagne that some homies have sent us. Shout out the boys at Mildred for the, as a congratulations moving into the office. We maybe want to get our own mini fridge, but probably more importantly is getting some nice chairs.
Oh, yeah. Because there's like limited funds here. You're still.
Well, there's also like we're when I say office, we have a room sublet from a larger like real estate company.
Well, that's okay. I mean, does it have like a door that you shut that you can like have a four-wall?
Yeah, it's our space, and we have like, music going, and
I mean, it's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
Congrats.
It's nice. Thank you.
I mean, on the NA tip, speaking of bubbles, Liquid Death, are you into it?
I still find the concept of canned water pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a tap water guy. I've only interacted with Liquid Death in the way where like Twitter guys are like, yo, like 50 marketing secrets from the guy that turned canned water into $1 billion product. And I don't want to read that shit. And like it feels very like Elon Musk grind set.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I guess, is it for sober people?
No, it's not. I think it's just like a new way of doing flavored water. They have like a couple sparkling. I like the carbonation. Topo to me is too much.
Too big of a bubble?
Too big a bubble.
Yeah.
I think the liquid death carbonation is nice.
It does abuse the throat.
It does. It's hard. Okay, I wanted to ask you about something else.
Yeah.
Related to trends. And Emily Sundberg wrote this letter recently, and she referenced Ozempic, and that's like Zyn, Z-Y-N.
Yeah.
And I feel Zyn comes up a bit on your show, and we're covering food and beverage trends. I would consider it a food adjacent.
Sure.
But is for real, James? I mean, is Zyn changing the way folks are eating? Like, I know it's being used as a meal suppressant.
I know for a fact, I have a good friend of mine, I see him often, so I maybe didn't notice it, but another friend was like, yo, you've lost so much weight. What's your secret? And he's like, I fucking pack a tin of Zyn every day.
like it's an apple, like it's carrots.
Yeah, like he wakes up, Zyns. He's like, working Zyns. I mean, he still eats, like, I think 2 or 3 meals a day. But I think he just like doesn't snack and doesn't like overeat.
Yeah.
So like maybe Zyn is, I mean, nicotine is an appetite suppressant. I had to look this up. So I was like, is this like, what is going on here? So yeah, I think maybe Zinning is good if you're trying to lose weight.
Yeah.
But not if you're trying to not be addicted to nicotine.
Yeah, it's a nicotine product, to be clear. So
I'm not a fan personally.
Yeah, I mean, straight. I didn't expect you to be a fan. The
last time I had one, it exploded in my mouth and it was horrible.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
I was early on a snus guy. I was like back in 03, 04 when snus, that was like the Swedish.
Yeah.
It felt better because it was Swedish.
That's what's so crazy is like snus has been such a thing. I mean, you go to Scandinavia and they're packing pouches like all day.
All day.
Everyone's on it, but it's weird that Zyn is the one that kind of like took over.
Let me ask you, speaking of weight loss, GLP-1 drugs, obviously big news, but in the fashion world, how is GLP-1 like changing the way people like kind of interact? I mean, are you like, oh, that guy's Ozempic?
Yeah, I don't know if it's... I feel like fashion probably had its own, like the fashion one probably had its own weird relationship with food before Ozempic and other weight loss drugs.
Yeah.
To me, I'm just like, why would you want to? When I learned what Ozempic actually does, which is it kills your appetite, or it makes you look at food and your brain makes you feel like queasy.
Yeah.
And you just don't want it.
Like
There's
that
no traction.
stage fright feeling, like that kind of low level nausea.
Why would you do that to yourself? Why would you suppress like one of the great joys in life? Like, why would you want to take food and consuming food away from yourself? I mean, that's like this to me, the same as like suppressing like sexual appetite or like suppressing like laughter or feeling good.
Yeah.
Like, why take away one of the few joys in this miserable world away from yourself? So yeah, I'm sure it's prevalent. I'm sure it's like, oh, did you look at her face? Like, she's definitely on Ozempic. But I think it's probably bigger in like the entertainment world.
Yeah. Good point about fashion having an interesting relationship with food and maybe going beyond this one product, because it's always been an interesting topic, of course, with runway, obsession with thin on runways and haute couture and like needing to have these particular body types.
On the men's side, I think it's more maybe less Ozempic and more like kind of like on the looks maxing type of things where just, going crazy at the gym, spending wild money on like supplements, personal trainers and other like cosmetic surgeries or procedures. But yeah, I don't know if Ozempic like really took the fashion world by storm.
Yeah.
It did kind of like Hollywood.
More of a Hollywood thing. Let me ask you, generally speaking about fashion food, like I feel like the zeitgeist is always going to lean towards food. Like, you're talking with your fashion friends and friends who work in the industry, media, fashion media, and like food tends to come up in conversation on your show, which is sometimes it's hardcore about fashion, like Proenzo Schuler. You're bringing like real names up. Sorry that name is dated. That's my fashion reference today. But like, let me ask you, like, how does food and fashion intertwine right now in 24? I feel like there's really, really, really like you got to talk about food with your guys.
I think, where you eat, what you eat, who you eat with. People can tie it to their personality and identity, which we're documenting and putting out there and publicizing 24/7, which is exactly what you do anytime you put on clothes, right? You're expressing yourself, kind of through choices, whether conscious or not. Maybe the choice you're making is like, I'm choosing not to express myself in a way that signals that I care or that about clothes. Fashion and style can't exist in a vacuum. Like, there's a social component to it. Like, you can't just get dressed up and sit at home.
Yeah, right.
Like,
no, well
you can
said.
take a mirror fit pic, but like, okay, then what? So I think the communal aspect, the community aspect of it, the communal aspect of it, the social aspect of it, kind of like dressing up to go meet up at a restaurant or at a bar is always going to be a thing, especially in New York, LA, etc. And yeah, it's just like, I mean, it's literal consumption, both on the food and fashion side. Like, what are you putting on yourself? What are you putting in yourself speaks to kind of like, for better or worse, your personality and your identity.
I love that, James. It's really smart, and I think it really is true about restaurants. We try on restaurants. We sometimes like get rid of and just take them to the trash bin or the recycle bin.
Yeah.
And sometimes we like live in them forever. Like if you're looking at fashion, Instagram, you see some guys just wear the same pants.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Will Welch. Like you wear the same pants all the time. And it's like, honestly, it's like restaurants, like you're a regular to restaurant, like you're a regular with fashion.
Bernie's is my favorite t-shirt, but I'm going to go to the grill and I'm going to spend way too much money on a fleeting experience that I'm going to be like, whoa, was that worth it? It's going to be the same shit as like, buying Dries Van Noten.
I love that you brought up Bernie's because they've activated with fashion brands, and it feels like in Greenpoint, at least, Bernie's has become a hang for menswear, but also just in general, it's like a really important restaurant. And it's a good restaurant, but I'd love to get your vibe check at Bernie's right now.
Have you been to Bernie's?
I've been to Bernie's, yeah.
So,
back in the day, I went more.
Okay.
I think maybe when they first opened, I went there, but
I mean, the vibe check on Bernie's is the vibe is perfect, and like,
love it.
It's so, and I was talking to my guy Oliver, the GM there, and I think they know that they have something special going, and what it's the music, it's the staff. I think what's really great is the turnover on staff is really low because they are treated very well and compensated very fairly, which I think is like a great model for a restaurant to have. Because then, like, you want your workers to be happy and invested in the company, in the business. Not literally invested, but
yeah.
Or that too. But yeah, you can't have a bad time there. Yes, there's crazy lines. There's going to be a wait. But in the summer when it's warm out, you can just like get a drink, hang outside. They'll have the Knicks on, the Rangers on, the Yankees on.
TV is an component. There's like a little bit of like that sports bar vibe going on.
A little bit. I mean, it feels very like my buddy was in town from LA. He was crashing with me for a night before going to a wedding. We went to Bernie's. He was like immediately, or one martini, two martinis, and like, this is my favorite place in the world.
Yeah.
And he's like a principal at an elementary school. And then you have like cool guys come in and they fuck with it to the point where they become regulars. You have families, you have like, girls' nights out, you have the fellas just hanging. So I don't know. It's they found it, and they're not trying to fuck with it, and they're not trying to like package it and like export it anywhere.
Yeah,
it's
they're
just
not
like
trying to open.
They know what they have,
yeah.
and they know that and it is consistent. Like whether you were going there a few years ago, whether you go there tonight, like it's gonna feel the same. But every single time, it is very special. And I was like looking at some of the questions that you sent over, and I was like, "Fuck, is my answer gonna be to everything just Bernie's?"
Yeah, I wanted to like get that out of the way because I feel like we're not gonna go to Bernie's anymore. But I do want to not to like pick on those who've no longer with us. But James, like, why does a restaurant like Bernie's work and a place like Cool World not work? What happened? Like, I don't know if you had any experience with a Cool World, but I feel like that's in the same neighborhood, going after the same crowd. It didn't last.
We can start with the name Cool World.
Yes, I would say that's exactly the reason. I was like trying to get
the food was good. The food at Cool World was pretty good.
I heard. So this is why it's interesting.
I don't like that location is fucking cursed.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
Before them, It was like a vegan Mexican place by the same people from Oxomoco.
Yep.
Before that,
which was good too.
It was pretty good.
I had one good experience.
The rent, I have heard what the rent is on that space, and it is absurd. Before that, it was like a French bistro called like Sauvage, but like
Sauvage was
And before that, I don't remember what it was. And now it's like Ray's, which I think if there's gonna be one place that beats the curse of that location, it's gonna be Ray's, just because they're printing money. Well, I don't know about the Manhattan location, but I feel like they're still printing money.
Yeah.
And I've only been in to that Greenpoint location once for like a brand thing.
Yeah.
But I don't,
which is not a ringing endorsement, James. Just
I know.
That's truly you were forced to go there because of work commitments.
I was paid to go there.
No, really, it's truly you were paid to go there.
Cool, like the food at Cool World was good. It wasn't that expensive, which is maybe they needed to be more expensive to pay the rent. But I was sitting there once with a girl I was dating at the time, and we were like there at like noon on a Saturday, and it's empty, and we're looking across the street, and Five Leaves is fucking packed with like, I don't know what the deal is with, if on Five Leaves is on some like, Time Out article that every European like they just own in the SEO, but it was literally like a like a multi-hour wait. Like we saw people, there were people waiting. This one family was waiting. We sat down, we ordered, we had a drink, we hung out, we wrapped our meal, we paid the bill. That family was still waiting to get into Five Leaves. And like, what do you, like, just come here. So I don't know.
It's crazy. And Five Leaves tried to open in the Ace Hotel in LA and it didn't work.
Bombed? See?
Yeah. It's interesting. That place is just, I guess it's like where you take your parents when you live in Greenpoint.
You want an egg on your burger? Like,
I don't know.
It's fine.
Yeah, I think it's like, one of those like names that just resonates, like it's good. I don't know.
But yeah, I think sometimes just location, sometimes the place just has the sauce. That's the perfect combination.
So let's kind of fast forward, and you're coming back in a year. What's your Bernie's in a year? What is there a new place that you're hanging out at? I know you said Bernie's is perfect. So, but where do you see yourself going more in the next year?
The Delta Lounge at Madison Square Garden. It's pretty sweet. Thanks to
you got plugs
a friend there.
And
the sushi at Madison Square Garden, not bad.
Oh my gosh, stop!
And they had crab night there. It was pretty fucking
Stop
good.
it! I mean, I have to say the Garden is so much better than Barclays. I used to go to Barclays a lot for Nets games. Woof, that was rough.
Yeah,
too many fuku finger wings.
Ugh.
Those are so gross.
Yeah, very sticky.
Yeah.
I don't know. The place I've been going to with friends have really been kind of like not an intentional like contrarian way, but it's like, what is just the least crowded, least frills, least like TikTok-y, IG-y, like sports bar or just bar in the area where, the wings are going to be good. The chicken's going to be fucking frozen and, whatever.
From another country.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
whatever.
But as long as like the beer keg lines are clean.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like just going to, everything now is just too like they're trying to draw a crowd. They're trying to draw like social media people. And it's just like going to, if it's above 4 stars on Google Maps and it's like nearby and not crowded, that's like honestly the main fucking thing.
I agree. I hit Google a lot. I mean, above 4. I mean, 4 or 5 is obviously the pocket. And if you get to 4 or 8, I mean, come on. You're good there.
But it's almost like the places that I save that I want to go to because I see them like a really good photo on IG or TikTok, whatever. Like I know it's just going to be a fucking pain in the ass to actually like try and experience it. And we talked about this last time where how it's impossible to get a reservation now. And then some big article came out about it. I didn't read it, but because I felt like I already knew what the deal
you knew the answer. You knew the answer, but you get places like services that are selling restaurants that are like kind of like cutting us out as normal diners.
Yeah, or like the secondhand market of reselling reservation spots.
Yeah, man.
And then I guess on the other side, flip side of that, there's like the proliferation of members only clubs, which fucking, if those clubs can condense the people that want to go to those clubs into one space and get them off the street and get them out of like other places, that's great.
Oh yeah.
Take them.
Take them. Like, you'll never get into Teresi until there's a Teresi private club, which there is at Carbone.
Right.
Not that I'm endorsing Teresi, but I feel like let those folks hang out at those places and free up a few spots.
Yes,
like
please.
That mentality. Okay, a few scenarios. I just want to tap into and figure out where you're going. So for a group hang, where are you going right now?
The best group hang I've had in a minute was at Astoria Seafood.
Yeah,
it's just
great
so much.
pick.
Yeah, It's like I'm sure it has some cool guy buzz, whatever, but it's so much fun just to pull up early before like all the nonas get there. Pick out your seafood, get it fried, seared, blackened, roasted, whatever. The sides are crazy, and you just sit there and just eat like your body weight in shellfish, and it's great.
It is great. I love that Astoria is getting some shine from the cool guys, as you say. I love them. I'm going to keep using that. I feel like that's a great neighborhood for food.
Yeah. Similarly, Abu Qir, is that it?
Yeah,
it's
Abu
in
Qir.
Little Cairo.
Yeah.
Also in Astoria, but like that's another. It's just never really crowded. I think it also has like people are always like, oh, that's like a cool guy spot.
Nah, they have great pastries there too. Or
really?
Maybe it's the place next door actually, because Abu Qir is like also seafood, Egyptian seafood.
And they give you like they bring out the side plates and like just a fucking mountain of hummus and
so good.
These salads that are so fire.
It's great. And then I think the pastry shop is next door, but you can like do the 1-2 there. I love the Abu Qir.
There's another Egyptian seafood spot that starts with an M in the area, but it's just kind of like, again, it's just simple. The spaces are big, so you can get a big table, no problem. And it's just like, give me some fried seafood and beer.
Okay, another scenario. Not sure about your status, but I'm just gonna say like a date night, quote unquote. I just have to ask you because it's like it's not something I typically ask our guests, but I feel you're tapped in. And date night New York, where are you going?
I guess if it's not a fancy date, which I prefer, I guess like you could say the like Frenchette Bar, maybe.
Yeah.
Or like the Hotel Chelsea, the restaurant or bar down there.
Oh,
Heard the martini's good. I haven't been.
Yeah.
I really like going to the Lot.
The Lot,
which is
new to me.
Okay, it is a literal lot, like on the border between Williamsburg and Greenpoint, just west of McCarran, and it's just like a shipping container where they have a live streaming radio going 24/7. They have like live DJs. They'll have like names come in. Actually, Charlie XCX just did a fucking set there, which I was like, oh great, now
the lot is
cooked,
blown up. Yeah.
But it's just they have like 2 beers, a sake, 2 wines, and like a few NA options. Like that's it. But you're just sitting outside, and it's like there's always good music. It's always kind of a fun energy. And it's just simple. And like it's never that hard to find seats. They just closed down a street next to it and like put tables out there.
Oh, cool.
On like a pedestrian mall thing.
Yeah.
And it's always just reliable, easy, great place to kind of like wait for if you put your name down at Bernie's to go wait at the lot. Maybe it's like the drink before the actual date.
Yeah.
And it's like very casual. All the chairs are just like fucked up and, mismatchy, and you're like eating on like people are you can smoke there. You put your beers on like a weird like thing that's not supposed to be a table, but it's a table.
Vibe. I mean, you're going for vibes there, but it's like accessible vibes.
Yeah,
go for
and
exclusive vibes.
It's cool people. You'll see people you'll run into friends. It's great.
I want to transition to talk about Japan because you went to Japan this winter and you did an episode recap. And I loved it. I was really into that episode. Yeah, welcome. And I listened to your show a bit, and I feel like this was a cool thing. But you got into food a little bit, but of course your show is a lot about fashion, so talking about shopping. But I wanted to have you on this show and talk about your relationship with Japan. You've got family there, and you visit often. And I think a lot of our listeners are interested in visiting Japan. The yen the dollar is so strong right now against the yen. I mean, it's amazing time to visit. Also Korea with the won. But tell me, James, how do you visit Japan for food?
Well, usually I go and I'm there doing like family time stuff.
Yeah.
This time I went about a week ahead of my parents by myself, and so I was able for the first time in a really, really, really long time, like experience Tokyo on my own. And I had looked into food-wise. I had looked into like, okay, like what's like the omakase I need to do? What's like the yakitori I have to do? What's like the $400 meal that is going to be like impossible, but like 2 months if I'm online a month ahead of time and I book in through all these services. And I was just like, yo, fuck that. Like, what's great about Japan is that you're never going to find like the best tonkatsu or the best sushi. Everything is going to be excellent for the most part.
Baseline 4.8.
Baseline 4.8.
We're going to give using our parlance of the Google.
Yeah.
rating.
So are you going to like kill yourself or put in all that extra effort and spend all that extra money for that 0.2? That wasn't my priority. My priority was Like I stayed in like a hotel where you could like touch the bathroom and the door and the exit door at the same time. So I wasn't staying in a nice hotel. I like wasn't gonna spend a lot of money on food. It was flights and clothes.
Yeah.
That being said, baseline is so fucking good. I'm not obsessed with the konbini food like everyone else is, like the Lawson's or 7-Eleven. My strategy was like pick a neighborhood, go explore there, and using Google Maps, find I usually did izakayas just because it's like the most diverse
category,
the most diverse menu versus like, oh, I'm gonna go to the ramen place or the udon place or the yakitori place because most restaurants specialize in one category. Izakaya, you can kind of get a little bit of everything. Again, like, is it above a 4.3? And are there no reviews in English?
Right.
That's how you know it's good. Or my other strategy is like, and I do this anytime I travel, especially with stores, you kind of like befriend or chat up or just, you're making small talk with the retail associate and they're local. They're like tapped in, supposedly. Ask them for a recommendation, right? Just ask a local person who kind of feels like they know what they're talking about or you respect what they do or how they present themselves. So you're probably going to respect their choice in like other aspects of culture, right?
Yeah.
Ask them where their favorite bar is or like what is going on that night that you should check out.
So what did you find out when you're using this James method? Because I feel like you're tapping into something. Do you speak a little Japanese or read a little Japanese?
I speak enough to like get around, but now like with, like translation apps, like you're good.
You're good, yeah.
It is surprising. I think people are always surprised at how little Japanese people speak English themselves.
Yeah.
So I would definitely like get some apps if you don't speak the language.
Yeah.
I mean, just like fire ramen, like a cocktail bar came from like a store recommendation. My first night, I like touched down at like 6:00, put my bags at the hotel, like immediately just had to go find food. I didn't go and find like, something on like a side street. I just went to like the first izakaya I could find. It was full of tourists. And Japan right now is, I think they set the record for tourism in April 24.
Yeah.
And it is like noticeably crowded with so many more tourists than ever. And I've probably been like 30 times.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it is like, okay, how can you kind of zig when everyone's zagging, right?
Yeah, and you have family there. It's your culture, so it's a little bit. You have a unique perspective about how to visit Japan. And to be fair, you're definitely just trying to find an experience that feels like what you expect from Japan.
Yeah.
And
again, I think the mentality is you have to go in is like, nothing is like the best or
no,
like the 10 best lists. Like those aren't going to be effective at all. We had this guy on, this writer, W. David Marks.
Oh, yeah.
Who lives in Japan.
Yep.
And he was just on the pod. And he was talking about how the TikTokification of Tokyo is really starting to creep into, like, of course, you had, TikTok lines in like Shinjuku, Shibuya, Harajuku, some other like popular neighborhoods.
Like TikTok spots.
Yeah, and like lines and like, places blowing up. And he's like, yeah, my this cafe I go to where I get like just a coffee and a croissant, all of a sudden there's like a line of 50 people that need this like one pudding, right? And they get their content and then they're gone. So he's like, so what I do is I still go there, but I just wait until the 50 people until they've sold out of their pudding.
Right.
And then the line dissipates and the owner is this like 85-year-old Japanese guy that doesn't have a fucking smartphone. He's like, I don't know what's going on, but like I'll sell the pudding and fine, whatever.
It's crazy. It's the same in Seoul. I was just there in January and places like Ujiro and Songsu, like neighborhoods that are cool, are like these long lines of Koreans, like young Koreans. And I got to believe it's Kakao or TikTok that's like driving it. And, you find your other spots,
Yeah. But I don't know. It just feels.
I think Seoul, they came out of like 2 years. I'm sure the same in Tokyo, of pretty strict 9 p.m. 8 p.m. curfews.
Got it.
And so like that lifted in only 23.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like I feel there's like a little bit of coming back to life.
Right.
What dishes are you getting in Japan like that you really crave? It could be from your the home cooking that you miss, or just dishes that you love.
There's a ramen spot in the neighborhood where my family is, which is called Okikubo. That's the neighborhood. The average age is like 77.
Yeah.
Like it is sleepy. It is not like people know it, but they're like, oh, okay. It's like it's like a 20-minute, train ride to Shinjuku or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a ramen spot I'll go to like multiple times anytime I'm there. It's actually like a Taiwanese version of ramen. So
Cool.
it's like no broth, but it's like a wet coating of the noodle and a bunch of like vinegar and like,
we're vinegar
Yeah.
entering the fray. That's definitely Chinese. Definitely more
Yeah.
or Taiwanese.
I think it's Taiwanese, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean the proprietors are Japanese, but I think it's like a
Yeah.
Taiwanese style. I love just posting up at the yakitori tents outside the train stations. You're just elbow to elbow with salarymen, just eating sizzling chicken right off the fucking grill, just like, keeping your sticks, paying by the stick, having like a cold Asahi or Orion beer to match with it. That's what I want. And you can go into any yakitori tent and you're going to get the best yakitori you've ever had.
It's so true, and really the chicken's gonna be super fresh. Speaking of Asahi, I'm an NA guy. They have an NA00 Asahi.
Oh yeah,
that I had in Portland recently.
How was it?
It's super good, dude. I just wanted to plug it on the show. It made sense. So good, so good. So like the real. So
did you get it poured in the robot?
I did not get. I was poured by a human. So
the future's now.
The future is now. All right, transitioning the convo. You worked at both Complex and Barstool. So I want to ask you a couple of specific questions. Your best interaction over food with a rapper.
Real quick, I was a freelance, or our previous podcast was licensed by Barstool or signed to Barstool.
Oh, okay. So we will back out of the specifics. But were you in the office at Barstool?
We would like show up after work hours when it was just like the content monkeys, just like editing hours of Dave Portnoy saying, I don't know, shit about sports.
Yeah, right on.
And we would just kind of do our thing and dip. And that was a network that we absolutely torched our relationship with.
Okay.
When we left, but a Complex, I was there for a long time. I didn't really interact with that many rappers except for very drunken Machine Gun Kelly at like 10 in the morning.
Oh.
But I worked at Def Jam for 2 years.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of like, the one food thing I remember is me and our like content team, we flew down to Georgia for a weekend or for a few days, and we spent a few days with Young Jeezy, filming him going back to his like hometown.
Oh, really cool.
In like the country.
Yeah.
Like 2.5 hours outside of Atlanta.
Whoa.
And Jeezy he wanted to be there when we were doing an edit. Had to come in on a Saturday. I was like texting with this guy. I was like, does he want anything? He's like, yeah, he wants 7 spicy tuna crispy paninis from Joe and the Juice. I'm like, what?
The least hard response you'd ever get.
And like,
but it's kind of a great call though.
Yeah.
It feels healthful, feels like protein and carb balance.
He's on his health shit, so I think he really wanted the protein. I think he went fish because I don't know if he like fucks with red meat or pork. So that was wild. And then I remember that Jadakiss once wanted like charred blackened salmon, and it arrived and it like wasn't charred enough. Like the char was not hard enough, and we had to like get another blackened salmon, like extra blackened.
Wait, you just reordered Jada's order?
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, blackened fish, not my favorite preparation, but I could see if it misses the mark with the seasoning.
Yeah,
that you'd be a little disappointed.
I mean, then it's just like fish, right?
It's just fish. It's just like burnt fish. You want it to be charred and blackened. Okay. Thank you for playing a little bit of being a good sport with those questions.
Of course.
It's good memories. You hang with Anoop, which Anoop is opening.
Boy.
Yeah, right. And Anoop is opening a restaurant, and I wanted just to get to Anoop. I like Anoop a lot. I want to have him on the show.
Should.
But let me ask you, when you're hanging out with a guy who's very involved in restaurants in New York, and he's like your dining companion, are you dining out differently?
I'll let him take the lead usually. Like,
yeah.
And I'm happy to kind of take the back seat and let him just kind of take charge on the menu. And I mean, I went to Frog Club with him, which I don't know if I talked about that, but like, oh my God.
I kind of don't want to talk about that place.
No.
I kind of like just want to like.
It doesn't deserve our breath, our oxygen.
Truly, like for real. Like,
I'm banned from there, so it doesn't even matter if I say anything.
Well,
so
shit.
No, it's fine.
You're banned from. Why are you banned? Okay, I did just ask a question.
I'm banned because I went there and talked about it on Throwing Fits, and the clip went kind of viral because I was the first person to really talk about it. Because I went there on the first week with Anoop.
Yeah.
Anoop Polarcetti. He has his finger like very much on the pulse where, he's like, oh, this new shit is opening. You want to go there? Or there's pop-up, whatever. But the best shit that we do, in my opinion, is like Astoria Seafood. Kind of like these institutions, but not in like a corny Balthazar way.
Yeah.
We went to Don Pepe's and got the shrimp Luciano with pasta. And that might have been like top 10 dish I've had in 2024.
Yeah, man.
Or just like random spot. We'll, go to, he's a big tennis guy too. And like, we'll be at the US Open and then go to Flushing and just like pick whatever's open and looks like empty enough to, and then just let him do just run point on the menu. And yeah, he's a food guy, but not in like the annoying type of way.
Yeah, he's not trying to like explain stuff. He's not trying to like say I know like a secret resi like code
and he's not
to get into the thing.
And he's not posting every photo. He's not doing the thing where you fucking post like all 19 pieces of sushi you get at your omakase.
Yeah, it's a rough hang. No, agree. That can be a rough hang. You mentioned something in passing, and I wanted to list on. Is Balthazar corny?
The food is not good. I think it's fine to get a drink at the bar.
Yeah.
But I think it's more like the Balthazar halo effect of everything trying to be like a French bistro, New York classic institution. I'm done with French bistros. Like, I'm done with steamed fish. Fucking, like cream sauces. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just over it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like the tower, the seafood tower and the martinis there is like, and like the service is pretty good at Balthazar.
But and like Anoop will do, I mean, it still feels cool to go in there.
Yeah.
Anoop does like I think Christmas Day, him and some buddies. I've never gone, but him and some buddies will always do like a seafood tower, martinis, lunch.
That's it. That's what you order there.
But he is opening up a restaurant called Strange Delight in Fort Greene. And so it's cool to see someone that has worked in all facets of the food industry, from like a cheese shop in Philadelphia to Pok Pok to Momofuku to Shake Shack on like the corporate side.
Yeah, Anoop was at Pok Pok.
Yeah.
That's where I met him.
That's,
I was like, I know that's where I know him now.
Yeah.
You made the connection now.
Right. He's opening a restaurant, Strange Delight, in Fort Greene.
With Ham Awali.
Yeah, with ham. It's going to be fun. I'm so excited for that. It is like New Orleans influence, but not necessarily po' boys. And while it is like, or muffaladas, it's but kind of like, I went to New Orleans with him and it was just a feeding frenzy. I went to Galatoire's and it was kind of weird and racist in there. But like the Oysters Rockefeller blew my dick off.
Did you go to Coop's at all for chicken, Fiorelli for chicken?
I've been there before to Coop's, and I really like the fried chicken and I think it's a rabbit jambalaya.
Rabbit jambalaya. Yeah. James, right on point. Right on point. It's exactly what you ordered there.
So fire.
I love the rabbit jambalaya.
So it's going to be kind of like that style of New Orleans, not necessarily like what you think of, like the Disneyland version of New Orleans.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, it's just going to be fucking good.
Yeah. So what's like the point of view with him, with the chef? Is he like, is it an oyster bar? What's it?
Well, it's like an oyster bar, oyster restaurant, but it's not just like, raw bar, oysters by the half dozen. Going to be a lot of cooked oyster dishes, which I think is like a criminally underutilized use of the oyster, is like cooking them.
Oh, I mean, Felix. You go to Felix?
No.
So that, to me, New Orleans is the one for cooked oysters.
Okay.
Yeah, Felix is great.
Like, what's the preparation?
I mean, it's just grilled on a half shell with butter and citrus.
I mean,
like,
fried
the
oysters,
big old
like,
Gulf oysters too. It's not the small guys you get up in the colder waters.
Right.
It's nice Gulf oysters.
There's like an oyster loaf, I think, kind of based on the Casamentos. A oyster Rockefeller inspired by Galatoire's. Like, it's going to be really fucking
Strange
tasty.
Delight.
Yeah.
Gotta go there. I'm excited for it to open. Okay, so you and Lawrence are going to be in Italy for a month.
Yeah.
We were trying to book this, and you're like, oh, I'm going to be gone. And I'm like, oh, really? You're going to be in Italy for a month? And it's not August. It's going to be in June.
It's a work trip.
I mean, so yeah, you guys do a lot of work in Italy, right? So tell me, how do you prepare to eat Italian food in country for a month?
Similarly to Tokyo, if you just get people's lists, you're going to get the same places.
Yeah, man.
Right? Which, maybe that's a good thing, right? If you cross-reference lists and a few of your trusted wreckers are giving you, like, option D, go to option D, right? It's just a meal. Like, it's not going to, you don't live or die by, like, missing out or going to, like, one place that you're like, oh, that was a miss. Whatever. But But again, I think because we're lucky enough to be going for work, I think it is like tap into the local brain trust, you know? There's the Barbasso, that's like the fucking legendary gigantic Aperol Sprizioli place.
Is that Milan?
That's Milan.
Yeah.
We'll be in Florence, Milan, and then Paris a little bit, and I'm going to go to the south of France for a vacation. But
So you're like more north style of
yeah,
Italy.
you know, like get some Milanese, get some fucking steak.
Yeah, man.
But it's really like we're doing work with a few different like Italian businesses, and it's just like, yo, where should we go for dinner?
Exactly.
But again, it's also like you can't expect to have the best cacio pepe of your life. Just eat the cacio pepe and it's gonna be fucking good.
Yeah, and like look at like the cool drinks you're gonna be having.
Yeah,
I think like Italy's got obviously the wines, the natural wines, but the way they make cocktails is so nice.
And you have to like be chill with like your order being wrong or like not the language barrier being too strong to like. If you're going to like a local spot, they're not going to have an English menu.
Yeah.
You're not going to know, the translation apps aren't going to work. The power might go out, which happens like at this place we started going to in Milan. I forget the name of it, but like I know it by sight. Like the power just goes out and like there's nothing you can do. And the staff isn't freaking out at all.
Charming.
Yeah, and then like a guy comes in with a fucking trombone and is playing like the loudest, worst music you've ever heard, but like that's happening. Like you can't do anything about it.
I never asked you, did you end up going to Puglia? We talked about that off mic a bit last summer. What did you think of Puglia?
Puglia was sick.
Yeah, man.
Unfortunately, my girlfriend at the time and we went there, and then like the next week, like the Kardashians were there.
Oh, yeah.
And like Dolce & Gabbana did a thing there. So it was like, well, Puglia is now torched. Like I saw Puglia mentioned in some like popular TV show. I don't know. But seafood, just the simplicity. I think I ate like 3 dozen uni in one sitting.
In Lecce?
It was I think it was south of Lecce.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But like, it was like white trash Italians and like me and my ex-girlfriend. And I'm like, this is how you know it's good.
Yeah.
Just this fat Italian in capris and like some fake Philip Line shirt and like bad jewelry, and he has a bucket next to him for the sea urchin shells.
Yeah, for the shells, the spiny guys.
Yeah, which is like if there's a bucket next to you, then you know the place is gonna be good.
I mean, this is like the James Harris rules for travel and dining is pretty great.
You have to cede control, right? You can't be in a situation and think that you're gonna like be the operator. Things are you just got to let it come to you.
Okay. I'm so excited to hear about your trip when you get back.
Oh, yeah.
This is Taste. We asked guests about their discerning taste. So to close this interview, here's a little rapid fire. Fast and Furious taste test. James, are you ready?
Let's do it.
The best fruit.
Peach. Seasonally speaking.
Yeah, of course.
Peaches, cherries, and weirdly, this is a weird one, but recently I've been fucking with grapes.
Wow. Like Concords? Like the
no,
guys?
like I was at I don't go to Trader Joe's, but I was at the Trader Joe's in Patterson, New Jersey.
Yeah.
On the way to tennis camp with my boy Anoop, and he picked up like 3 different types of grapes. They were phenomenal.
Yeah, man.
Honey pearl, I think was a type.
Grapes can be good, especially at the farmers market in like late summer, early fall.
The humble grape, who knew?
It's good.
Not just in wine form.
The worst vegetable.
I'm very happy that we as a society have kind of moved past kale.
Yeah.
If you need to massage something to be able to digest it, like we probably should not be ingesting it, right?
No, for sure. It's definitely. I'll fuck with the sweet green, kale Caesar.
I can't even do that anymore.
Nah, it's tough on the body.
But I was trying to think. I was like, I can't think of a vegetable really that I don't fuck with it, except for kale. Like I've never had kale prepared in a way where I'm just like, oh, I'll have the kale, please.
Well, sautéing kale is the worst. Truly the worst.
Yeah, kale chips I've tried, but like,
not bad.
It just tastes like salt.
Yeah, you're right. The best dessert.
I'm not really a sweets guy. Maybe just like chocolate cake or like coffee ice cream.
Yeah.
Separately.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Your favorite American fast food chain?
Of the big 4 or big 3, I would probably go Wendy's. I'll go Wendy's.
Wow.
So what is it? Mickey D's, Burger King, Wendy's.
That's it.
And then you have like the sandwich guys.
Yeah, those aren't. Yeah.
I was a Blimpies kid growing up.
Oh, me too, for sure.
Do they still exist?
West Michigan, it still has plenty of Blimpies.
Fuck yeah.
You see it sometimes in Jersey, even though Jersey Mike still So Reigns,
New Jersey Michaels.
New Jersey Michaels.
I fuck with New Jersey Michaels.
Yeah.
I don't really fuck with Subway.
No.
I'm new to Taco Bell.
Wait, stop. Is that a branded thing? Did you get paid for throwing fits to go to Taco Bell for the first time?
No.
How are you new to Taco Bell?
So when I was in high school, we get high and then go to the combination Taco Bell and Wendy's on 14th Street. And I would always opt for Wendy's. So I never really indulged in Taco Bell. And now the menu, I just can't, I need to learn the lexicon because I don't know the words at all. I don't like all their terms, but I have had it a few times now, and I'm a recent convert, I would say.
I'm a huge fan of the chicken cantina menu that has just been announced. I'm a big fan. No sponsorship yet. No, I actually really like. I one of the corporate chefs is a listener of the show, and shouts to you for talking about the internal process at Taco Bell to me.
I definitely fuck with their marketing, right? Even
though
that's kind of become the de facto brand has voice. Taco Bell was early on that.
They played that Green Day song in the latest commercials. That was pretty cool.
Nice.
It was the new Green Day song. Okay, your favorite cookbook of all time?
I'm not really a cookbook guy.
Yeah, it's all right.
I guess I just have recipes on my phone.
We can skip this one.
And then no, it's fine. But this is Lauren says this is the best analogy that I've ever come up with in my life. We talk about so many guys want to know about personal style and how to develop your personal style, right? And I really equate it to cooking at home, which I never really was that into until pandemic, and now I love it.
Yeah, that's cool.
When you're first learning to cook, you need to follow the recipe to the T. You need to know exact ingredients, exact measurements, etc. Once you start getting familiar with the techniques, what you like, heat, etc., time, then you can kind of just fuck around and you're like, oh, actually, I'm not going to add this much paprika. I'm going to add this much. I'm going to add sumac instead, or I'm going to make some sumac onions on the side and add that because I know it's going to pair well with whatever.
Yeah. You start to get instinctual,
exactly,
intuitive,
and eventually you don't even need necessarily to follow the recipe. You just kind of know what you like, and you can just riff it out.
I love your journey
and adjust. And the same is true with personal style and fashion, where it's sure, you might want to just copy someone one for one when you start, but eventually you got to start just fucking riffing and it becomes instinctive.
Yeah, you start doing pairings and combinations.
Cookbooks I really like as objects, and they're beautiful to look at and read, but I don't know if I necessarily prop one open and follow it to the T.
Oh, good. I think that I personally enjoy cookbooks that do more than just teach you to cook.
Yeah,
I make them myself, and I'm super into that. So
the enthusiasm in cookbooks can be infectious.
I agree,
and I like that.
Thank you. That's good. Good way to say that. All right. So your favorite LA restaurant right now?
El Russo Taco Truck #1.
Word. Good choice. Your favorite New York City restaurant right now?
It's Bernie's.
I mean, we already covered that. You're being true to yourself. Your favorite city outside America to visit for food?
I think the obvious one for me is Tokyo, but also Mexico City, another obvious one that is maybe more accessible for denizens of LA, New York. Chicago.
Going there on Sunday.
Love it.
Super into that choice. Man, a few more. James, has been super fun having you in the studio. A cuisine you would like to learn more about?
Western and Northwestern Chinese.
Yeah.
Because it kind of gets into that Middle East, Central Asia.
Good answers there, James. Last one, your favorite sandwich?
Ooh, in the summer, nothing hits like a BLT.
Oh, stop. Agree. Okay, big questions here. Mayonnaise choice?
I was just talking about Duke's Mayo. I've never had it.
Wait, stop.
I've never had it because it's a Southern thing, right? I grew up in New York.
Amazon, every store.
No, but okay, I understand. Okay.
This is not I'm fucking around, but
Do you grow up in a Duke's Mayo household?
I grew up in a Hellman's household and a Miracle Whip household, which, judge me. I only got Dukes later in life, but I do like the Dukes.
I like Kewpie.
Yeah, right on. Fair.
I'll just use Kewpie.
Yeah.
I want to try Duke's Mayo. I do think, though, that people that are oh man, I moved to New York and I helped raise rent and took housing from took my finance job and I took housing from an immigrant or a creative artist or whatever. New York fucking sucks, but guess what? I got my Duke's Mayo. Yo, relax.
Yeah. Okay, the bacon choice.
I feel really thin bacon from Oscar Mayer kind of freaks me out.
Yeah,
I'll just get bacon from the pork guy at the farmer's market.
Newski's, man.
It's all about the tomato though.
Agree.
It's the tomato. And the Boston lettuce.
Yep.
And then,
which is trash usually for everything else.
Yeah.
Boston Bib, I feel not my choice for a salad, but
I'll do it for if I'm trying to do like a Thai style like a minced meat salad with lettuce cups.
I was coming at it from the non-Asian point of view. No, I just like I feel totally agree. Like Thai food and bib lettuce is 100%.
That's the only time I use it though. I'm not fucking eating out here like eating a bib lettuce salad.
That's what I'm thinking. I was thinking more salad joint. You've corrected my wrong. I love that.
And then outside of the summer, I would say maybe a banh mi.
It's my number one in our draft. We drafted sandwiches.
Yeah,
but a year and a half ago. Oh yeah, my number one by far. Easily the best sandwich.
Easily.
James Harris, thank you so much for joining This Is Tasty.
Thank you.
Eliza, what is up? How are you doing?
I'm good. We're back in New York.
We have been on the road, you and I, and Clayton and Shirley and everyone on the team.
Us and the giant bag of gummy bears, yeah.
Did that make it back?
I think I left the gummy bears in Vegas, but I did transport them from Wisconsin to Vegas. So those gummy bears really did see a lot of the world.
Yeah.
And we gave them to strangers in the airport also.
Oh, that's amazing. That was a good call. I still have the corn that we acquired in Viroqua, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I mean, we came back completely transformed. I'll never be the same again after spending a week in Vegas.
Yeah, so listener, we were on the road, our team, for about 8 days, 9 days. It was really fun.
It was fun. We almost, to my feeling, got killed in a tornado storm, but we didn't. Matt kept us alive. It was awesome.
Oh my gosh, I don't take credit for keeping us alive. I take credit for just driving straight and not freaking out.
You stayed calm. You turned on the radio so we could hear the tornado siren updates. I'm not a Midwesterner, so that was a new experience for me, but it was great.
So for listeners, we were driving from Viroqua to Madison. Definitely tornado warnings, definitely sirens. I grew up in the Midwest, so I feel like I had a little experience, but the car was not chatty during that hour and a half drive.
No, Clayton and I sat on opposite sides of the car watching the tree line to see if any tornadoes would come in. And the whole time in my head, I'm like, would I know what it looked like if I saw it? And then you showed me one video and I realized that I didn't see anything like that.
Nothing like that. Not even no trees falling from heavy winds either.
No, just a green-black sky and lots of lightning and the bulletin coming in on the radio every 5 minutes. So super chill.
Yeah, super chill trip. What's your first thing? We're doing 3 things.
My first thing is that I came back from Vegas and I needed to reset completely. And so I went up to Callisto Farm in High Falls for the weekend for this pizza pop-up that was happening there from Promises Kept, which is a Hudson Valley pizza event kind of thing. Have you been? Have you had their food before?
I've never been to Callisto, and I've never had this pop-up, absolutely.
The pop-up was great. Callisto is a really special farm that my buddy Amalia is running up in High Falls, and they do dinners all over the summer. So if you're listening and you want to go kind of see goats, they had some baby bunnies that they found in the hay when I was there. I would definitely check their Instagram because they have other events happening, but this one that I was at was this pizza and then Cherry's ice cream, the soft serve stand.
Amazing.
Did a pop-up there. They did basil oil on the vanilla ice cream that they made at the farm.
And they're doing these all summer?
Yeah, this was their summer open house kind of kickoff. And then Amalia is going to release a series of events over the summer. They're normally ticketed dinners.
Yeah. I am so excited to hear that. I will absolutely make it. When I think about High Falls and pizza, I think about Ollie's.
Yes, we did go to Ollie's the next day for lunch, which pizza back-to-back like that seems like a lot. But I thought Ollie's was really great. And all of their, I got a really good eggplant parm sandwich on focaccia there.
Beautiful breads there. I love Ollie's a lot. That's my favorite. This is gonna be the summer of upstate reports.
Definitely.
I feel on the show.
Definitely. What's your first thing?
My first thing is I have meaning to mention Thumbuddy Coffee. Thumbuddy Coffee is in Paramus, New Jersey.
Thumbuddy?
Yeah, Thumbuddy. Really, really, really terrific coffee shop that's right off Route 4, kind of near the GW Bridge. So anyone who's traveling upstate or towards Jersey, I love this place because it's owned by, I believe, a Korean couple, and they're doing some of the coolest cold drinks I've seen in the region. They have a sparkling hibiscus Americano, which I think is really cool when you're mixing coffee and tea and hibiscus in that way. They have a matcha ube syrup latte, which I like, an iced latte, an espresso tonic with orange juice. They have a record shop in the back, and it's kind of in this weird, it's literally in like an office building that's like half full, half empty in Paramus, and it's in the lobby of it. It's like such a random, it feels like it's an LA spot, to be honest.
I love the sound of all those drinks. Somebody was just telling me about the espresso orange juice thing, which I can't really picture, but I can believe that it works, you know?
Oh my gosh, it's in Korea World, we have an espresso tonic with orange syrup.
Yeah.
So good.
I like an espresso tonic. I guess it just probably amplifies the fruitiness of the coffee.
Yeah, it's a really nice pairing. I love it a lot. So this place, definitely check it out if you're in Paramus or the kind of that northern part of Jersey. I love it. What's your next thing?
My next thing is that I did an event with Lyft and like Stud Country, the line dancing party for Pride with Cakesy this past week, which was really fun. And the baker Julie Saha, who is the chef at Dinner Party in Fort Greene, did a cake for the event that was just really good. It was a strawberry olive oil cake with pink peppercorn buttercream and lemon curd. And when Julie took the lid off of the kind of like baking tray when it was at the event, the smell of pink peppercorn like hit the back wall. It was so pungent. But when you tasted it, it just was like this gentle, warming heat. I thought it was really cool.
It sounds amazing. So how was the event? How was the line dancing?
Well, Kesha performed, so it was amazing.
Wow, was that like as advertised or was that a drop-in?
They announced it like day of, but I was working the event, so I knew that was going to happen. But picture this. It's like an hour before everything's supposed to be ready. All these people working production are running around in a tizzy because Kesha is doing her sound check, and I'm frantically like putting strawberries and whipped cream onto cake while like We Are Who We Are, the audio track is just blaring at full volume. It was very much like a how did my life lead me to this moment, but it was really fun to get to do like a signature cake scene dessert table for another event and to line dance as well.
So fun. And I have to say, the new cake zine is dropping soon. Details to follow. What can you say?
Yeah, I mean, Candyland is the theme. It'll come out late June, early July, and I'm excited to have Tanya on and do a whole episode talking about it.
It's. I've gotten a peek of it at it. I've read a few of the pieces. It's your best issue yet. It's so ambitious. I'm thrilled for you guys.
Oh, thank you. I feel like that's not your second thing, though.
It's not my second thing. Good segue. I have to say, I had Khushbu Shah in to talk about her book, and we're going to have that episode up sometime this summer. But I have to just say, in the Three Things segment, Amri Khan, her new cookbook is phenomenal. It is truly one of my favorite books of the year. And Khushbu is somebody who's written for Taste and has been a friend for a long time. She used to be the restaurant editor at Food and Wine for, I think, 5 years. So really knows what she's talking about when it comes to like journalism and writing about restaurant culture. But this is her first cookbook, and it's phenomenal because it really brings the Indian American diaspora into focus in a way that has never been done. There's been plenty of terrific Indian cookbooks written. We published a few ourselves, but for me, this is a really groundbreaking work, and I have to say, everything from the what to buy section, which is not a laundry list of spices that we may know, but 5 spices, very tight list. Kasuri methi, which is a dried fenugreek. She makes a very strong case that this makes everything better, which is, I love seeing that in a cookbook. There's a whole pizza section, which I think is a tremendous merging of American culture and South Asian culture and Indian culture. And her last recipe, which I like to ask about sometimes on the show, is a jaggery and fennel Rice Krispie treat, which to me is like those little snacks that you get at the end of a meal at an Indian restaurant. And she has it in Rice Krispie form. So my takeaway is that this is like truly one of my favorite books of the year. You should buy it. And Khushbu Shah rules.
Yeah, we love Khushbu.
What's your next one, Eliza?
My last thing is that I went to a really special dinner at Rodora earlier in this week that was for the artist El Cid, who's a French-Tunisian artist who has an olive oil that he just released called Takape Olive Oil. His family has an olive farm in southeast Tunisia, and they've been making olive oil there for a while, but he kind of stepped into the family business and expanded it and made these really beautiful olive oils in really special jars. They have calligraphy written all around the side, Arabic calligraphy, which is a staple of his large-scale art installations that he does in places like Dubai. And the calligraphy translates into, you can snatch a man from his country, but not the country from a man's heart. And it's wrapping around this olive oil. So the olive oil itself is really peppery and delicious. He told me something funny that like when you are going to an olive oil tasting and there's other olive oil makers, it's a sign of a good olive oil when olive oil is peppery in your throat. So as a sign of respect, everybody when they taste it make really big reactions to how peppery the olive oil is. So if you want to be like extra polite, you go to this conference and there are all of these people just tasting each other's olive oil and recoiling from how fresh it is, which I thought was really a special and cute thing to hear.
Oh my gosh.
And I think it would basically be a really beautiful gift for someone also because the jar itself is like this beautiful collectible kind of item.
What a cool memory and thought about the way to properly taste olive oil. I feel like that astringency does come to us sometimes when we taste, and we might feel like that's like impure, but it's actually the opposite.
Right. It's all those polyphenols that are in that super like active and alive and fresh olive oil, and that's what gives it that quality.
So we can buy these bottles. Are you going to link? We'll link to it.
Yeah, we can link to it. It's spelled TACAPAE, Tacape.
Right.
It's super cool.
Love it. That's great. And man, you're on your pop-up bag this summer. I love it.
You know, I live very close to Rodora, so if there's something happening there, I'm going to be there.
It's a great space. And I've never actually been there for a non-pop-up. It's like a wine bar in general?
Yeah, it's a great wine bar. It really is like the place to be in Fort Greene. Whenever I walk by it, I have to be prepared to see folks that I know, but that's kind of nice.
That's nice.
What's your last thing?
My last thing is that I had such a great time in Wisconsin enjoying cheese and really like kind of immersing ourselves in the world of Wisconsin cheese that I was like, I want to explore Hudson Valley cheeses a little bit more.
You're like, let me eat more cheese as soon as possible.
I need some more cheese. And I was at my local farmer's market, the Goshen Friday market, and my favorite cheese seller, this really terrific guy, used to only sell Cooperstown cheese. Apparently, Cooperstown cheese is sunsetting their business. The family's retiring, and they only have a few wheels left. But the stand is now pivoted to being a full farmstead cheese operation. So I got to taste 3 cheeses, meaning I bought 3 cheeses this past Friday. So I had the Cooperstown cheese to me, the Tomatorino. May you rest in peace. I think I may have had my last Tomatorino. I've been buying it for about 4 years. That's kind of an aged hard in the kind of they're all cow's cheeses, but these are definitely in the aged realm, lots of salt crystals. But the other 2 was 5 Spoke Creamery, which was doing a 24-month aged cheddar, and I had Jake's aged Gouda, which I think to many listeners that's become a brand that many of us seek out when we're at the farmers markets in New York City or the Hudson Valley. So now I can try Hudson Valley cheeses all the time through the cellar. And really, they're making great cheeses in the Hudson Valley.
Yeah, I believe it. And I love that your thirst for cheese is never ending.
I feel like I will never, it'll be a journey that I'll never complete in my life. I feel like I need to go to like other countries to do cheese. Hint, hint. You want to go on the road again?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Thanks for sharing your 3 things, Eliza.
Yeah, you too.
This is Taste is hosted by Eliza Abarbanel and me, Matt Rodbard. The show is produced by Shalia Harris and Pat Stango and edited by Clayton Gumbert. Theme music by Steve Rydell. Visit Taste online at tastecooking.com and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter for updates on all cool things that are happening.